Okay. Alright, my camera's rolling. Okay, as I said, that we're recording this for everyone who is not here yet and everything, so I'll be talking as if like you're all here. Okay, so welcome back to Four Wings, where we're doing a visual grammar course, and this time we're going to be doing something different. Last time we did podcasting and making YouTube channels projects. This time we're going to be making films, right? And so that's why we have this nice, cool looking camera, the tripod, and we have all this paperwork, because it's all about how we're going to make a film. So there's one particular film that we're looking to make, all right, dealing with ethos around Four Wings and supporting, women in the situations of domestic violence, and there's also situations of human trafficking, and we felt that it might be interesting to do a film around that from that perspective, right, around human trafficking. So like in that aspect is that when we did the Happy News channel on the last time, right, we said, okay, what makes you happy, right, and everything. So women got to like speak about different things for them that made them happy, that they enjoyed, and everything. That could be anything from cooking to having parties to going out, right? As opposed to whatever like the situations that they were actually living in that they wanted to move away from. But this time, after going through that process, it's like, well, let's look at some of the stuff that people had to deal with in their lives and everything, and make it into a film. So human trafficking, which is a very strong subject, right? It has to be treated sensitively. What we thought that is that if we could do it visually by showcasing, say, the different environments. So what we want to do is actually go out into Liverpool, like outside, and look for things that, one will make you happy, but also two is like different aspirations. So what do these places or objects mean to you and everything? And so we also felt that that would be a good visual for voiceovers. So voiceovers is when it comes to filmmaking is instead of you just being interviewed and telling a story or you telling your story, we felt that would be really more safe, sensitive, and confidential for people's personal experiences is to tell someone else's story. So like that way you still putting a face to a situation, but it's not yours. Right? So you wouldn't have to worry about, I don't want people to know my personal story. I don't want people to have to know my personal story, but I would want my story to be told in a way of helping others. How did I move through my struggle? What is the wisdom of my struggle? So in that fashion, that's where film becomes a really good element to do that. But also too is that this course is also how to make a film. So as we got up here is how to make, we got three different categories. The first is pre-production, production, and post-production, right? So let me start with the last one first. Post-production is the editing. So here at Four Wings, we have material to be able to edit all the footage that is being shot. But last time, in the last class, we got that editing software at the end. So we didn't get to spend as much time as we would have liked to on editing, right? So that will be in the post-production, which is that you'll be learning that. Now what is that?
Production means?
Production just means the making of.
Making of.
Yeah, so whatever we shoot, right, throughout this course will have to be edited. That means cut together, right? And that's the post-production, yeah? So in this class, what will happen is, so we meet on a Monday. So what will happen is that like, we have a camera, and you will learn camera.
प्रोडक्शन वो पता नहीं लिखा तो है मीन्स मैंने पूछा मैं भूल गई प्रोडक्शन में मूवी बनाते हैं ना
Yeah, the shooting, the making of, putting it together. So some of you will go out with a camera and film different things, right? So you do that throughout the week because the camera's here, right? You do that throughout the week. And then on the next Monday, right, you come into the class and you learn how to put that footage together through editing, right? So during the class, we will edit and we will prepare the film. But outside the class, you will do production, right? So production is shooting / making the scenes for film, right? So editing is editing the scenes. Building the film, that means putting it together, constructing it, right?
Making the scenery?
Scenes. Scenes are the images that we shoot. Yeah.
Scene.
So now I can go to the first part, which is the pre-production, which is all this paperwork here, right? So pre-production is planning the film, right? Discussing the ideas, right? And finally, developing the scenes. So it's kind of like I went backwards, right? I started at the end, then went right back to the beginning. Because, and let's just make sure this all makes sense. Pre-production is planning the film, discussing the ideas, and developing the scenes, right? Those three elements of pre-production. Production is shooting and making the scenes for the film. And post-production is editing the scenes and building the film. Right? Let's see. To finish. Content. Now, these are here, I got copies of these for you guys, you can take away if you want, right? Or you can leave, but this is so that way you can further understand what it is that you're going to be asked to do, right? You see this? So when we say about planning, right, first we need to know how to actually shoot that camera and why, right? So, best way to do that is need to clear that off. So, yeah. Let's make sure that I got that on there full size. I'm gonna erase it. Right. Huh?
I'm going to wait hopefully I have problem with my glasses.
Okay, so pretty much when we try to make a film, right, we start with storyboards, right? Start with the storyboard, right? So as a part of planning out our shots, right, storyboard. So what we're storyboarding are these particular types of camera angles. So here's a visual example of storyboards. Right? So as you can see, you don't have to be a master artist, right? Because you can do stick figures, right? Sticks and squares and circles and stuff like that. But if you notice that there's text, right? So this text is for you to describe the shot, right? So that is supposed to be to describe what's in those pictures. Yeah? So in describing that in your storyboard, you have to understand the basic camera angles and why we use them. So what we got pretty much is the close-up, the mid-shot, and the wide shot. Right? So you see that in the storyboards of the pictures. In all film, this is what you see all the time. It's a series of these shots over and over again. But the question is why do you use a close-up and a mid-shot and a wide? Right? So if I'm going to try and tell a story, why do I use that? So pretty much the wide shot, which is the wide shot of, let's say, this room, for example, and in this room is a class. There's a teacher and there's students. We call that to establish the scene. Right? We want your audience to know where you are. And in doing so, with that being the case, a lot of times a scene will begin with the wide shot. You know, like in TV, like especially comedy shows, they will always shoot the established shot of a building to say that the scene that you're going to see next is inside that building. It's not. It's in the studio. Right? But you're telling the audience that it's inside. So let's say, for example, if you were going to go out as Liverpool 1, right, and you want to show different elements of Liverpool 1, you will first shoot a wide shot of Liverpool 1. So that way people know that's where you are, where you go into all of these different angles inside Liverpool 1. Make sense? Yeah? So if you think about it as far as a bookend, meaning opening and closing, you will probably open with a wide shot and close with a wide shot. Right? Now we call that, well, I already kind of said it, we call it opening the book, like starting the story. So when you zoom into a city, right, we know this takes place in a city over the water, right? But when the story ends, we zoom out of the city, we pull back from it, because we are, in essence, closing the book. Does that make any sense? Yeah? A little bit? So, when we want to establish our characters in our story, we use a close-up shot of the face because we indicate emotion. Right? So, when you look at these series of faces, in these close-ups, they're generally supposed to tell you something about the character, right? So, if the person is in a close-up, like a Sergio Leone film, or like Clint Eastwood, there's a smile, there's anger, there's confusion, there's fear. All of those are different emotional reactions in those close-ups, right? So with those close-ups, we're indicating the emotion of the character that we're following in that scene. So whether we pull out, we pan, we crab, we do a low angle, whatever, we're indicating an emotion every time we go to the close-up. What is that character's feeling, and what do we want them to know? Meaning, what do we, the filmmakers, want the audience to know about them? So the mid-shot allows for communication. So what that means is, like this shot here on the storyboard, right? Two people sitting at a table, right? Two people talking. A lot of times it's two people walking. This is what's called like kind of like a mid shot. Even though this is still like a two shot, it's still establishing the communication with people in that scene itself. Right? What is going on? Where are we? What are we doing? What is our motivation? Yeah, so any kind of communication that is indicated when we look at the mid shot because we can see the gestures. Right? We're looking at the interaction between people. Now, yes, these are kind of like maybe different big words, but what I'm trying to do is show you with the pictures is you have a close-up and a mid-shot because you have two people talking to one another. Like I'm talking to you right now, right? And everything. So for me to actually be talking to you and expressing, you would look at me in a mid-shot because you see my hands, my gestures, right? You see my actions, right? In the reverse of you, meaning like if the camera's on you, it might shoot close up of your face looking confused. What is he saying to me? Right? And everything. So obviously when the two are put together, we got the wide shot, we know it's a class. The mid shot, we know that the teacher is communicating with the student. The close up, we know that the student doesn't understand. Yeah?
Yeah.
So then the teacher goes, how can I help you understand what I just said?
My face, you look my face and you check she's sad. Why, what problem you sad, you know, happy.
Yeah?
You guess.
No, you're exactly right. Because the point is, I could either ignore that, right? Just gave me that emotion, right? Or I could change my tone and I could say, well, how can I help you understand that? Right? But that's what the film does. So with the storyboard, if we wanted to establish the storyboard being about a class and the teacher and the student, right? So the teacher's trying to explain to the student how to make this film and what shots to use, right? And then so we have that wide shot, the mid shot, and the close up, and we go back and forth. Yeah? So on here, we have all these different other angles. Bird's eye, worm's eye, close up, reverse, over the shoulder. And this is what I'm trying to say is that when you do the storyboard, you show that, right? But now you might say, well, I'm not an artist. So you're looking at that. Say I'm not an artist. So what did I say? I said you had text on there, right? And you have, you have text on your pictures, right here. You have text to explain what it is that you want that shot to be. So in doing that, right, you have the storyboard and then the text describes the pictures. Yeah? And everything. So this way, when you're filming, you know what you're filming. We're not just guessing at what we're filming. So we know that we have to have this emotional connection to tell any story. We know that the story has to have a beginning, middle, and end to any story, right? So even though this is only 6 storyboards, I prefer the one that has 9 on it because I feel that if a story has the beginning, the first 3 shots, the middle, second 2 shots, and the end, the third 3 shots, that's a film. Right? Because what is it saying to me, as it should say to you, is to tell any story, it shouldn't be random, right? To tell any story, each scene has to have a beginning, middle, and end. Not just the whole film in itself. Each scene has a beginning and middle. So that means each story that you tell can be done in 3 shots. Right? Now, I've been talking, and me and Amina plan something out. So, let's have a little bit of fun right now, and we're going to shoot a scene, right? Just for you. Yeah? We're going to shoot a scene just for you. Right? So, before we do, let me describe it. So in visual grammar, I call it there's a horror way, a comedy way, and a drama way to any scene that you do, right? Because it all becomes about that. You have a scene, if you don't know this, and this is what they don't teach enough in school, if you don't know this, then it's very difficult for you to find out what kind of filmmaker you want to be, right? Because I explained it to you, didn't I?
Yeah.
Right, so like you told me I love photography. I love getting the camera and doing images, right? And then I said, okay, well, if we had a scene, and the scene is, let's say, here, right? So somebody's sitting there, yeah, and everything, and someone enters the room, right? And then, so I said to Mina, well then, if it was a horror film, how would you shoot it? She said, what? Right? No, but you understand what I'm saying? So let me explain that, and then we'll shoot it, because then it'll make more sense. So if it was a horror film, we have to shoot it in a particular way in our camera angles.
Yeah.
If it was a comedy, we have to shoot it in another particular way in our camera angles. If it was drama, a different way. Now the point is, it doesn't matter what the scene is. All that matters is what you as a filmmaker want it to be. So, that's why I said, let's have a little fun with this. Right, so Jasmine already knows about filming, so she'll be our camera operator. She's gonna be the one who's gonna test it for us. Right? So, just stand over there for a second. So, because this is Mina's idea, unfortunately, it's on you, Amina. Sit right there.
I don't want to be filmed.
Again, with this, I don't want to be film stuff.
Filmed?
No, that's what I just said. You want to learn though, right?
Yeah.
So that's the only way you can learn is to be film. So, I'm sitting here. So Mina's sitting right there. Now, what's your name?
Elizabeth.
What?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. Can you help us out? Whoa. No, come all the way over there. No, you have to sit down. So go behind the wall. So I want you to watch this, right? So if you sit over there. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Jasmine, without me telling her, has to make this a horror scene. Right? That means, Jasmine, you have to tell your actors what they want to do, but you have to do it in 3 shots. A beginning, middle, and end. Right? Think you can do that? Now 3 shots doesn't mean like 3 quick shots. This is not 3 photos. It means like 3 angles. A beginning, middle, and end. Yeah? So, Jasmine, the scene is, Amina is like, I don't know, in college. Right?
Jasmine, she's calling you.
Yeah, I know.
Mina? What? Okay. Mina's in college, yeah? And she's like in a student lounge. Right? And Elizabeth is gonna come in, but it has to be a horror film.
She has?
Right? She's shooting right now. What?
Yeah. Just a minute.
What happens? See what happens? Okay. See what happens when you're right in the middle of filming? So, yeah. So you understand what's happening? Come on. You get it, right? You get it, right? Yeah, right? Come on, Shaka. So, so Jasmine? Did you understand what this scene is?
Yeah.
Now, I call this the enter and exit, right? That means someone enters and someone exits by any means necessary, but it's a horror. Now it's on you. You're in charge.